La Lanterna, a spotlight in Italian football, is a podcast that dives into the beautiful game seen from the eyes of two fans from the oldest team in Italy's point of view. My name is Fabrizio Cardone, Canadian and Genovese, together with my friend Matt Killen, an American-born and Genoa fan. Every week, we'll tell you all you need to know about the only team you need to know about, Genoa CFC. Plus, we'll have guests and provide updates from around the magical world of Italian football. Welcome everybody back to La Lanterna podcast. Hey Matt, how are you doing?
Fabry, it's great to see you. Doing well.
So it's match day 10 that just passed by. We're going to head towards match day 11. And where are we going to start? I'll leave it to you. So victory. You were right, Matt. 2-1 for Genoa.
I am happy that the score came out the way it was because I have to say, looking at the first half, I thought your prediction was a lot more spot on than mine was. But yeah, 2-1 at Ternana in Terni. Major win. It's put us obviously in a great position in the table and where we're sitting right now, and a big win against a rival team that were first at the time. Of course, Genoa now technically we're second, but we're level on points with Frosinone.
There's other surprise, by the way.
Yeah, you have to give Frosinone a lot of credit. I was not expecting them to be this way. And of course, I don't think many were expecting Ternana to be at the top of the table first, but let's talk about the match because it really was, I thought, a very good competition. I think we really looked much better in the second half personally. I know some felt like we were dominant, but I really felt like Ternana really had the better chances in the first half. And so for me going into the break, I was a little downtrodden, to be honest with you. I kind of felt like this was a big match. It was away from home. We knew it could be a loss. We knew it could be difficult, but at the same time, we're expecting to win. And you want to see the team take that stride and really kind of start to grab the league by the scruff of the neck, I guess is the phrase. So I personally was a little bit sort of in a sour / bummed out mood at the end of the first half. I know others felt like we were somewhat unlucky. I mean, what did you feel about our first half showing, Fabry?
Well, first of all, I have to say you're right. I have to say, as we say in Italian, la legge del X, which Favilli, like seriously, Favilli.
Of course,
and
the guys who score.
And the way how he went on celebrating like if he won, God. He did that goal at the 95th minute in Champions League final, super, like whatever. Then they even did it like, I mean, I know I'm like ranting against him being a Genoan and so on. I'm like, but seriously, like you've been fed for the last 3 years, doing nothing, showing up, doing bare nothing, even below nothing. And then you go, to Ternana? I'm not too sure even how much he has done on the score sheet. Whatnot.
He's scored a few times. He's done pretty well.
Good for him. I don't hate him, right? But you don't go and spit on the plate that was feeding you up until now.
That celebration was BS. I exactly the same way. Like, right. It's like you just won it in the 95th minute or something. Celebrating, the shirt's off. He's waving it around. Oh my God. By the way, that goal was like 99% not him. Like that work across, it was a great, I don't know enough, honestly, about it. I should know more. The Ternana players who it was a really good cross in. And then it was another kind of across the goal line. I think it was like a header. And it was he was right there in the path and basically just like stuck his body out, and it's a goal because Martinez can't really do anything about it at that point. So yeah, it was, of course, he's the guy that scores it. They almost had another goal, I think, that was ruled out for offside.
Yes.
It felt a little bit like, I thought
just before that, I believe.
Yeah, it was pretty close to that play. But yeah, you don't want to see that. No one wanted to see that. And I'm with you. I didn't come into this game with a bunch of angst against Favilli, but I don't think I'm as much of a fan now. Were you surprised at all in the starting 11? I know we were kind of thinking it was going to be.
So yes, let me just wrap up with the comment around that. Sorry. So I just had to put a thing out about Favilli, like not only the bad luck about the X's, which especially against us in general, it's always a fact, but especially against us, it almost always happens. Nevertheless, besides that, I think that you are quite spot on. In the first half, I essentially think personally that out of all the teams, and there's nothing, I'm not saying anything really against the other teams like Parma first per se, or other like Cagliari and whatnot, but I think out of all, I think Ternana was the one that actually played it the most, if I may say.
You mean like they were the one that really seemed to be up for it? Like they were
yes, like played the match to the point of wanting to win it, while the other ones wanted to play to the point of, a little bit maybe that scared them against Genoa or whatnot. But Ternana was like face off, not caring, and just playing their game how they're used to with Lucarelli as their coach, and etc.
No, I agree with you. Look, like, okay, any of our stat fans or anything like that are going to be looking at it and like seeing the possession and saying something like, oh, well, Genoa had 66% possession. But of course, like they were playing their game against us. And I agree with you. I think they knew what they wanted to do. They had a game plan. I don't think, to your point, I don't think it really wavered, at least not before the first goal. Like they were going for a goal and they were very much, I think you watch that game, whether or not we had the majority of the possession, they had a number of good chances. They had 13 shots. Okay. Maybe not all of them were on goal, but I felt similarly to you where like, the Parma match, even the Cagliari match, these other games we've already played, this one felt like, hey, this team is here that they want all 3 points. They're not looking for a draw. They're not saying, oh, we're humbled, Ternana, we shouldn't be first. Like they were there to make a statement, and they almost did.
That again, to my point, to one of the podcasts that we had a while back, but Genoa seems to do very well away, based on the fact that they're comfy at their own home turf and whatnot, and they're doing what they need to be doing. Yeah. And perhaps that was also to our favor because Ternana did all they needed to do because they were in their own familiar territory and whatnot. And so they were like open face in a sense. What I mean by that is just like they were looking to what they needed to be doing rather than just saying, okay, let's put all the 11 players behind the ball, as I said, for other teams, especially when they come to the Ferraris. Yes. So that's what I see about Ternana. Now, to your question, and I apologize for putting in a few things in here and there, but no, first half, no, to this point of what I was about, I was saying essentially is the fact that no, I did see a strong Ternana, a very strong Ternana, and that's what the fear came that scared him, that I was saying in the last Express episode that I had, which I did not majorly feel. The only other one was Palermo, and look at what happened there. But that I felt like from an opponent team, and no, so that's what and that's what it showed. It showed like a very strong side, and Genoa was just I liked them, mind that they had a couple more chances perhaps in the first half compared to us, but it was still a very ordered team. Blessings back, and it's still like that solid team that I'm used to.
Yeah, I mean 100%. I think like and it is kind of interesting too, because it for me almost like optically felt much more Ternana because of the chances that they had. But if you actually look at like the total, like we actually had more shots on target than they did in the first half. I just feel like our attempts maybe they didn't seem to me as clear cut, like we're going to get a goal out of this type of a thing. So, those things happen. I mean, I think like the big, I'll keep picking at this bone because I guess I started with it, but I guess the big kind of surprise with the starting 11 was we did not see Strootman in the starting 11. We had Milan Badel. So I know that was kind of one of the things when the team sheet came out that everyone in the Rosso Blue side were probably scratching their heads a little bit like, okay, and this isn't a Badel, anti-Badel podcast or anything like that, but we've just seen so much from Strootman so far. It seemed like he would be nailed on there. And I think a little bit maybe it's somewhat curious to see Yalchin also continuing to play in that attacking kind of role, just because again, I think he's talented, but I'm not sure he's really showed it the last several matches that, he should start. I think we have other players that probably could get a shout and try to make their case. I still think Yauchen's an interesting player, but I just don't. It wouldn't be the first guy that I would pick to start. I guess I'd say that much.
No, I'm glad you came back to the starting 11. You're absolutely right. I think that Vogliacco in place of Bani is showing us that actually I think Vogliacco even did a better match than Dragozin. Like that kid is wonder boy.
Did you see that? I mean, remember that saving tackle he had in the second half? Like he was on it in that game.
Hands down, that kid has a future, and I really hope the best for him.
Yeah.
Now, Payet, people still continue to complain, saying that we're having issues on the left. They're talking even about names coming. I mean, obviously, he's not like the strongest player ever. We're in City B for what we have to do. I think he is valid. Sure, he does some mistakes, but who does? Like, if I look at the starting 11, probably I can spot 7-8 errors among all. I mean, what I'm trying to say is like out of the 7-8 players, I'll tell a lot of issues that they have, right? Like, but I see also a lot of positivity. I know we're a little bit biased on Payet, the two of us, but nevertheless, I just wanted to point that out. We continue to see the strong Sabelli on the right side. Yep. Even though we have seen Hefty in the Coppa Italia, I wasn't sure if he was going to come back or if now seems that they're maybe be playing against each other to who's going to own the shirt on the right back. Now in the mid, you're absolutely right. Well, let me first point on Frendrup. Please do not sell him. Keep him for the next 10 years because that's the guy I want there forever.
Yeah.
I think like even the value, I can't even remember how much we got him for, but close to nothing. I think for sure his value has gone bifold. Like it might not even be evaluated correctly as of yet, but just to say how good he is. And I think he is definitely even mature to be ready also for Serie A.
Yeah.
Now, Badel was a surprise. We did see him that he was going to be ready for this match. I have to say one word that I've heard a lot of complaints about. Blessing doesn't know what he's doing. We have Strootman that is like on a super high form and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if you read about this, but essentially Strootman had an issue, a family issue. I think his dad was at the hospital.
Yes.
And he was actually not even to come to the match. Therefore, that's why Blessing did not even put him in the starting 11. And he actually told the coach, put me in. But what about, like, you're even here and you're not even supposed to be here. Put me in.
Right.
So the point of this is to say, oh my God, if we had the character, the personality, the attachment and the dedication that this player has to the cause, to the jersey or whatnot, even if the youngsters that come to play in general would have even half of that attitude, oh my God, it would be that what every fan would be rooting for when they talk about, oh, they have to own the jersey, right? Type of thing.
No, it was amazing. And obviously in hindsight, I think we all saw the story behind that with Strootman and why he wasn't in there in the beginning. And the fact that he was not only present, obviously, for the beginning of the match, but he was, really clamoring to be there from the beginning. And obviously, I think it's a sensible thing if you were Blessing and you're making a decision to not have him come on immediately. This is a guy who's dealing with some stuff personally. We kind of need people to deal with that. But again, you just have to be proud for the player. Like that's the only other way.
Absolutely. To what an honorable man.
Yeah.
Then on our 5-2-3-1, which is what we have anticipated last episode, which is still continuing to be the model apparently of a Blessing, right? Yep, to what you mentioned before, Goodmanson, a little bit of a lower tone, but still he does his job. Perhaps it was just a bad day for him. Perhaps it was because he was very well marked from the defense on the Tanana side.
Mhm.
Aramu, I'm continuously seeing small, but yet a lot of improvements
Agreed.
in each and every match,
Agreed.
which is giving me that hope for the future that if he still continues to improve that way, by the end of the year, he's going to be that famous type of star that everybody was expecting from him.
Yeah.
Yalcin, on the other hand, is probably my worst player of the game, of the match. I'm not too sure if he is not what we're expecting. I don't know if that's not his ideal position. I don't know if this is not the type of match game play that he has been used to. I don't know. I don't see him as I would like him to be. Now, I've heard rumors about him not being that great when he was previously in Serie B and whatnot, but nevertheless, what are your thoughts on Yalcin?
Well, it's interesting that you mention, is he being played out of position or something? Because I don't know if this is completely valid or not, but at least in the highlight clips that I'd seen, because he was at Besiktas last season, right? Like, I think
Correct.
his performances then, it looked more like he was kind of playing in like a wing position. And I know, like, as a, in this kind of 4-2-3-1 way, like, he's an attacking forward, he's playing in an advanced position. It's maybe a little bit more compact. But I wonder if he's like maybe somehow better in that way. I've seen flashes for sure from him. I think there are moments in some games that he's had. It's like, oh, that guy's talented. I think he had one of those wonderful combination goals that happened early in the season. I'm blanking now on the game already. I can't believe it, but I believe he was involved in that. And we've seen him kind of have some good moments, but the last several games, it feels like at least the last three, he's not looked really at all in the same caliber as, like you mentioned, Aramu. You're seeing stuff from Aramu too, where you just see he'll have like a couple of either like a key pass or just like just a whipping shot or something that's just like, man, this guy has talent. And we don't always see that from Yelchin. We know we're going to get it from Goodmanson. And when other guys are coming on, like a Pushkas or some of these other players, like we're seeing it there, but it's not always coming from Yelchin. So I'm slightly worried about it. I don't think it's a massive problem, but I do question him starting still. So I would imagine looking forward to the next match that maybe he's not in that starting 11, but we'll see. And I, the out of position thing, I don't know how you solve it because, like you said, Blessing's kind of playing what Blessing's playing, and I think that he and Spores were really connected with the players that they've recruited, but it does feel a little bit like right now he's not quite found a home within the Genoa squad.
Yeah, actually, I have to second that totally. And I actually think a little bit even beyond what you're saying to the fact that I was not even expecting him to start against Nana,
No, I
period.
wasn't either.
If I may start with the second, just a little glimpse of the second half.
Yeah.
I have to say that once he got subbed by Puskas, I think Puskas similarly in a different path to Aramu. I think he's improving match after match as well,
Yeah.
and I think he's a good duo with Koda. However, I do have to think about one thing because when that happens, also a lot of dynamics change, and the formation. I don't think it stays with the 4-2-3-1. I think it changes a little bit. Perhaps maybe it becomes again to that 4-2-2-2 that we were used to at the beginning. I'm not too sure because I'm not really that good at a coach to understand how that works. But I think he becomes more of a second striker together with Cora. My point to this is that with Cora with him work very well, essentially. So I don't know if maybe the dynamic is to keep someone like Yalcin or whomever might be like on a winger or like like on the right side.
Right.
But and then after change dynamics throughout the match, and maybe that's why he's putting in Yalcin. But nevertheless, I think personally, I think he was the worst man of the match.
I don't think you can argue with it, and it's also something that, like, I mean, we were talking when we were doing the preview. I assumed Yagello would start in that position. I thought that he would be the guy that would take up that same place. You could maybe argue Portanova, although I'm not sure we've seen a ton from him this season. But I was also surprised, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just a case of like having a little bit more recent playing time or something, and he gets the nod again. So
now, having said that, now we're talking about the striker. Mr. Massimo Coda has waken up, ladies and gentlemen. He has waken that second, besides the fact of how, I'm not going to start with the second goal. Let's start again with so we were at 1-0 end of first half. So let's start now with the second half, because with Mr. Massimo Coda, we have to talk about this. And what he has to, like, how the intelligence he had to go against the goalie to get himself that penalty. That shows you, reminds me, if I may say this comparison, forgive me everyone if they're going to like complain about my comparison now. He reminded me in a way, so try to follow me, how certain things Cristiano Ronaldo did. Meaning,
I am following you. It's a little bit of
it's a stretch. I get that. But what I'm trying to say with this is not the quality of Cristiano Ronaldo, of course. What I'm trying to say is, like, he's seasoned enough to know the tricks of the game. So he knows where to go and what to do in order to get what he needs. And that's exactly what he did to get that penalty spot.
Well, though, I love that point, because I kind of think that this is exactly what we were expecting to get when we purchased him, or when we signed him in the summer. I mean, is a player who understands how to win, and especially understands how to win in Serie B. And that type of movement, exactly. There was kind of he's going for the ball, the keeper's diving out. He maybe sold it, maybe he didn't. I think when you watch the replay, though, like, clearly the keeper gets his hand on his foot, and that
I still don't understand how people, and I don't even know who, because all I'm seeing is like people posting things on social media by saying this is a true penalty. Who's complaining about it? It's a clear penalty. I don't get that.
Well, right. But to your point, he had the presence of mind to know where to be, to get into that place. And let's say he did sell it. Like, honestly, good for him if he did, because it wasn't something that was not an obvious dive. It didn't seem like he was completely embellishing the contact. It was clearly contact on his foot when he was in a position where he could have scored a goal. And of course, we also have to give him credit for, by the way, putting away the penalty, which isn't something that you always see. And it was a very well taken penalty, I thought.
Absolutely. Cold
as ice. And, we need for us to win games like this, because I kind of felt, again, even though, you look at the possession stats and some of the other things, I kind of felt like before that goal happened, we were looking at a 1-0 loss. Like, it felt like the game momentum wasn't changing that much in our favor, I thought. We recently did have substitutions, of course. So Strootman, of course, does come on.
Which again changes drastically the domination of the match. We saw again for the first time, if I recollect well, the duo Badel Strootman from that we had 2-3 years ago. That's right. You remember?
Yep.
I think it's the first time they're on the pitch together, and I think they are a good duo. Nothing against Friendship. Again, I mean, I'm blessed to have such abundance in all sectors. Even if I have to go back 1 second before we go with the second goal of Mr. Massimo Coda, is also about the sad injury for Payet. Hopefully, I haven't heard anything yet, but even with the coming in from that, we've seen him a little bit in the Coppa Italia with Leonard Sibora. I think he's in form. Like he's doing well. Obviously, he's not the super talented guy. He did a couple mistakes himself too. Again, on the topic about no one's perfect and whatnot. But I seen him running way even more than Payet, which is not putting Payet down. I'm just saying, well, for Chisbora. What do you call it?
Is it Cibora? I don't know how you do it.
Thank you. Cibora.
I think that's how you say it. It's like Sbarro, like the pizza. That's a bad joke. Did not. Sbarro. I am glad that you said that, because I actually thought he really looked lively too. I thought that he was very active, and I'm kind of like, I was hopeful. Look, I was hopeful that he was going to have a good spell at Bielefeld in the Bundesliga last season. I don't think he hardly even featured for them. Um, but he looked good. I wonder what is going on with Payet, obviously, with him being subbed out before the half. It's a little bit worrying, and I'm not sure if we've got the full details yet on exactly how serious it is. So we'll have to keep an eye.
Fingers crossed.
We're going to need more depth, of course. Like, we can't just have him. And I'm not sure who even the next person up in line
No,
is.
another topic I heard was the fact that Sabelli has played also on the left side, so there could be still that.
Interesting. Well, didn't he do that in the first Coppa Italia match?
I think so. I can't remember. We were talking about what way back then with Benevento. Yeah, maybe. I can't remember now.
I don't either. But okay, well, that's encouraging, I suppose. But no, I think you're right. But on a more interesting topic, I mean, what a second goal.
So I'm like so smiling about it because I was like, oh my God, 76 minutes. So that was like 20 minutes in the second half, we get the penalty.
Yes.
And not even 2 minutes after that, this amazing, super galactical, beautiful, again, cold like ice and did perfection to do that almost a little bit of cocaino. I don't know even how you call it in English, but
chip.
A little bit of a chip, because it was a chip. It wasn't a very strong kick, right? No. And it was just like, wow. That's all I can say.
I mean, the ball's on that guy to shoot the ball like that too. I mean, so he takes the ball down, and it's like he does all the work, I think, in this goal. Like, he's got how many defenders around him? Like 2 or 3 Ternana players. They're right there. He's got a nice little kind of footwork thing that he does. And then, it's almost, I guess it's like kind of like a Panenka like type of a finish where he just kind of like dinks it right down the center of the goal, and the keeper can't do a thing about it. And he just completely faked everybody out. And it was an amazing, like, not even like a striker's goal, because I feel like that's more like a tap in type of a thing. Like, he did all of the work himself, and it was awesome to see that, because you could tell he was really, really, really confident in this match. And you don't finish a play like that if you're not fully like feeling yourself. And it was awesome to see that.
So that makes me just say, welcome back, Mr. Massimo Coda. And we're so happy that you're with us.
Oh my goodness. And it was,
after that, it was containment. Mind you, it was already the 80th minute to 78 to be precise. But a little bit of subs that came through. So we saw Portanova that came in, that subbed Coda on the 90th. Gudmundsson came out for Touré. So it's just more like to waste some time. So the waste of some time. Let me add something to that. What the hell, Doveri, the ref? Like, seriously.
That whole thing was such a mess.
He was, okay, first of all, before we get to that point, he is a Serie A ref. He's an international referee. Like, he did not call a lot of things, which were fine, both sides. So at least in that game, seemed that he wanted to make the game be more fluid rather than just like stop it, right? Which is fine. I mean, makes you upset a little bit of times, because you're saying, well, why did you call this one but not that one? A whole bunch of stuff like that. But you whistle the end of the game, and then like a few seconds after, you say, hey, no, wait, don't leave. Look at the time here. We still have a minute to play.
Minute.
Are you kidding me? You just whistled the end of the match.
It was bad. I mean, it reminded me, I shouldn't even bring it up, but like the Africa Cup of Nations thing that happened like back in whenever that was in the summer or the winter maybe. But that was a total mess. I mean, also, I think we were already, because it was 5 minutes of extra time, if I'm not mistaken, and we were already there. Like, it was already at that period of time. So it seemed like, okay, it wasn't like an error, like he blew his whistle like a full minute too early or something.
No.
So he decides that it's a full minute afterwards. And this is already some seconds after, like, some of the players are ready to start walking off the pitch and everything. They're starting.
Exactly.
So thank goodness. I mean, I had a pit in my stomach watching that, because I thought, man, if they score a goal in this extra minute, I'm going to lose my mind.
No, because that end of that time plus that extra minute, Ternana was like on the ball all along.
They were on the ball the entire time.
Again, great defense. We're doing way better than the past Genoas I've ever seen in the past few years. So I've seen them not nervous and, very diligent and so on. So I'm glad and happy and confident that, things like that don't happen, even though we have seen a little bit of mistakes in the past and so on. So you always fear about these moments, right?
Yeah. And to your point, we should say, I think, through 10 matches, only one team has conceded fewer goals than us. And that team is Frosinone, believe it or not.
Frosinone. There will be an episode that we'll have to talk about Frosinone. I don't know. Mr. Fabio Grosso, everybody knows him from the Italy win and his penalty and whatnot, but he's doing quite a good job, similar to Lucarelli, if you think about it, also with Ternana.
I have to agree with that. Absolutely. But yes, 7 goals conceded through 10 matches. And we talk often about how many of them probably shouldn't have even happened. The 2 against Parma, and then the one kind of, sorry for our Lupi fans out there, but
yeah,
I think you could argue that should be 4 instead of 7.
Yeah, let's call 3 are unaccounted for, or 3 should not have ever even happened. Let's put it that way. I mean, ultimately at the end, that's it.
Goals
and that's
scored.
what it is.
Exactly. But anyway.
So we have come to a win. As you mentioned, we are at par with Frosinone in the league, starting to see a little bit of a shaping up happening over there. We're seeing a lot of the surprises from the mid through that are kind of all slipping per se. So, for example, we saw the match of a lot of teams that were up there, like the Reggianas per se, and what was that? Also the Brescia slowed down a little bit, and Bari that got stopped by Frosinone themselves.
Yep.
So just a quick recap on match day 10, we have Ascoli Cagliari, which was one of those that were the last one that actually happened in timeline. Ascoli winning 2-1 against Cagliari.
Yeah.
Then we have Palermo Cittadella, which I saw some snippets here and there, was a very highly battled 0-0. Then we get Pisa Modena, which was highly expected because, as you even mentioned, it was like sort of like the opposite ends where Pisa was expected to be on the top, while you had the Modena was expected to be way lower. Was doing very well, and Pisa comes out victorious 4-2 against them. Then we have obviously the Ternana Genoa 1-2. Then the Brescia Venezia. Finally, Venezia is has stopped their bleeding.
Yes.
I reached out to our friend from the other podcast, and I said, "So what's going on?" And he's like, "Are you talking about baseball or you're talking about soccer?" Then we have Como Benevento. Como 2, Benevento 1. That was a big surprise for everybody, if I may say.
No kidding. Como, I guess they did recently win, but they've looked potentially like the worst side in the league so far. So that was a big win for them.
Then we have Frosinone Bari, as we just mentioned before. Frosinone now at par with us in the top of the league, and Bari, which was this wonder team that had never lost, and now it's going through a bad spell. So that shows you, are they all out there for the long run, or do they have such a short bench that as soon as there's like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 different injuries, then they're starting to have a little bit of grasping moments, which is the same that happened to, look at this, Regina against Perugia in Reggio Calabria, and Perugia, last of the table. They got back their first original coach from the beginning, and they go and win it, Reggio Calabria 3-2.
Really crazy match, and obviously hats off to them, because of course at the time, Regina were literally at the top of the table. So,
absolutely, yeah.
Big win away from home from them.
Then you have Spal Cosenza, which honestly I thought they would have been perhaps maybe on the same level or maybe not, whatnot. But In Ferrara, so at home, Spal destroys Cosenza 5-0, and Cosenza's coach is still confirmed.
Yeah.
Then the other one, oh my God, Südtirol 1, Parma 0. Oh, the Cinderella is coming up.
And literally leapfrogging Parma in the table in the process. Like,
that's right. Ouch, that hurt.
I'm sure Parma fans are still upset about that one. But congrats again, as I guess have been saying almost every week, to Südtirol, because pretty great start to the season. Right now they're in the playoff places, I think.
That's amazing. That's just amazing. It's again, like now, I'm not going to say this. No, I'm not going to say it. If we tie, let's say if we tie with Südtirol, I'll be okay.
Let them continue their run.
But yes, you are right. They're in the 7th spot. So if you quickly look at the table before we go to the break, essentially we have Frosinone and Genoa at the first spot with 21 points, 2 points below. So there's starting to be perhaps a gap, question mark.
Yep.
We have on the 3rd spot alone Ternana at 19, because all the other ones stopped, and we have, which are Regina and Bari, the queens of 2 match days ago,
yep.
2 weeks ago, which are stopped at 18. Then at 17, we have Brescia, which was reached by Südtirol, and Parma still stuck at 16.
Yep.
That's something just, it's so entertaining. This league, it's not even funny.
It's amazing. I found myself before the match flipping between all the other earlier matches that were playing that day, and it was there was a lot of action. There were a lot of games that were really interesting like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Then one quick thing, a couple of things, just quick things, just to wrap before the first half. Then we have our guest, but I wanted to underline or highlight the letter that Genoa, through our CEO Blasquez, has sent off to Ternana to thank them for the welcoming and for the organization, for the security and so on. Because if you all know, Ternana are very strong fans against Genoa, because they have the Gemellaggio with that other dirty, nasty, ugly team.
I did see a few flags in the stands that I wanted to wipe my ass with. I'll say
thank you very much for that confirmation, because I kind of have the same feeling. And actually, let me say something to that. With that sheet that I would have liked to clean my butt as well, they put Genova è solo bruciacchiata, which really hurts my mouth even to say that.
Can't say that.
And that was just put before the penalty, which 2 minutes after turned into a win for Genoa against them. So there you go. Tie, as we say in Italian, vaffanculo. So yeah, besides that, so that was nice, and very a gentleman of our CEO to have sent that. And the last thing, Coppa Italia, as I mentioned to you, it's the Roma-Genoa match. Is going to be played at the Olimpico of Roma on the 12th of January at 9 p.m. local time, which means 3 p.m. for us in the on the east side of the coast of North America. On the 12th of January.
We're looking forward to that match. I know it's going to be a tough one, but I think it'll be kind of fun.
And the winner of that is going to be playing, contrary to what I was thinking, it's going to be against the winner of Napoli-Cremonese, who will be playing on the 1st of February.
Okay. All right.
The winner of that one will be playing. So whether it's us or Roma, we'll be playing against the winner of that other match. Okay.
Got it.
So let's go into our quick break, and we'll have our guest coming very soon.
My name is Fabrizio Cardone, and I approve this message.
Welcome back to the second half of La Lanterna podcast, and we have a special guest. He's not from Brescia, but he is a Genoano. He's not in Italy, and he's not even in North America, but I'll let him introduce himself and talk more about himself. So welcome to our podcast, Enrico from Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
That's right, Fabrizio. I'm living in Saigon, or since the war, Ho Chi Minh City, what it's been renamed to. Hey, Matt, nice to meet you.
Ciao.
Nice to meet you all. It's great to be on the podcast.
So it's okay. Sorry if everyone's once in a while, as Enrico was like so careful about saying, is it okay if I can come on the podcast? There's a lot of noise in the background. So if you hear a little bit of noise, that's okay. It's just people working.
We're good.
Which is all right. We're talking about fun and people are actually working.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's one of the negative things about Vietnam. There is no zoning restrictions. So we've actually got it lucky. A few years ago, they knocked down a building near our house and they were building a new one, and they built 24 hours. The only night we had off was Saturday night.
Incredible. So
was,
actually talking about these weird things. So we are recording for us anyways. It's 9 p.m. on 9:20 per se Eastern Standard Time. So that would be 3 a.m. for Italy. But what time is it over? I want to ask you this because I know it because you told me, but it's so incredible to see the time zone difference.
It's 20 past 8 on the 26th of October.
That's hilarious.
So you're the day after in the morning. That's amazing.
He's in the future.
He's in the future. How's the future there, Enrico?
It's sunny.
I like it.
So tell us a little bit more about yourself. Like, why Genoano? Who and why Vietnam? I guess.
Well, I was born in Italy. I was born in near Alessandria, Novi Ligure. And then I moved to England when I was 5. But my parents are from Genoa, and my dad's a big Genoa fan. When I was a kid, I remember being in Italy, and I used to support Milan because Milan were winning, and kids are kind of stupid, so you just kind of support. You could put Shrek on a bag of cement and the kid would buy it. So I was just Milan, because all my friends in school supported Milan. Then I moved to England, and in school my friends supported Liverpool, so I started supporting Liverpool again because they were winning, blah blah blah. And then when I was about 13, 14, maybe my dad was like, "Oh, do you want to go and watch Genoa to the Italian bar?" And we were like, "Yeah, why not?" So I started watching Genoa, and it was the year where we had Hilton, Leon, and it was the year when we got promoted. And
2007.
So 2000. Was it 2007? Yeah,
or 6 or 7. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, where we got promoted. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. And I remember one of my first memories of watching was when we were playing Napoli in Naples, and Julio Cesar de Leon scored a free kick and we won 2-1. And back there, the Italian bar, it was just a hotspot for Napoli fans. So it was me, my dad, one or two other Genoa fans, and 60 Napoli fans. And we just had to be like, yay, we won. They were friendly enough, but we couldn't we couldn't go too crazy. And then I had it lucky from then, because in the next season we got promoted and we bought Borriello, and then we had an amazing season. And I remember my Genoa fan friends, they were like, "This is not Genoa. This is an exception." And I was like, "Oh, we're gonna win the league. We're gonna go to Champions League. Oh, this is amazing." And then the year after, Milito came back, and my first game at the stadium was a derby. I went to watch the derby where Milito scored the hat trick, but where he scored the header from across from Milanetto. And I remember it was first time in the stadium. It was incredible. It was insane. Yeah, it was. I still have that memory etched in my head of him just jumping so high, because you can't really see. You can't really see it from the video, but when you're there, you just see him just jump head and shoulders above everybody else and just nod it in, and you're like, my God.
Fantastic. Yeah, we have that in common too. My first match was as well a derby, and even Matt went to a game in Genova, but that was a different type of match and a different type of situation and so on.
Yep.
But and he can confirm it, that description of the atmosphere and the colors and the rumor, the noise and everything, and you multiply that 5 times, 10 times at a derby, it's just undescribable.
I believe it.
and the tension as well is nerve-wracking.
It is, especially on that one where it was like a very close call and so on. It even builds it up. I mean, mind you, I don't mind the 3-0 or the 3-1 with that final goal, whatever, but still, absolutely. So tell us a little bit more of a Genoano life in Vietnam.
It's a rather lonely life. I think I'm the only Genoa fan over here. But what I have done is I have converted all my office workers into Genoa fans, and I've like there's a way of getting like cheap like copy shirts. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but like the good things about Vietnam is you can get like this one is a counterfeit. I know you guys can't see, but it's an excellent counterfeit.
It looks
like
real.
€5. Yeah, it looks real. It costs like €5. So I got everyone in my office. I got them all a Genoa shirt, and on Fridays we would wear Genoa shirts.
So two things. One thing, definitely, Matt and I have to talk to you a lot more often so we can get a little merch. And second of all, absolutely, that is hands down something beautiful that I just heard. Is what we all try to do is be some sort of missionary type of job in order to it's seriously like, because unfortunately everybody, as you said, like when you were a kid, most of the people, what do? They only go for the ones that are known, the one that win and so on. So maybe now less Juventini because they're not doing that well, as we know, which is a good thing. But I know this year is in the Serie B, so it's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more, less appealing, but it's still a hard job and someone got to do it.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. And on Saturday, I had two friends over. We watched Genoa Ternana or Ternana Genoa, and it was good fun. Yeah, they enjoyed it. They were invested in it, and
So these are
good. They like
Vietnamese that don't
They're both English.
Okay.
So because I teach English, so they're all English. But in my old office, there was a mix of like some Vietnamese, there was an American guy, an English person, a load of us.
So what's the sentiment, the air, the commentary around your peers, your new Genoani?
Well, recently they've been like, you're finally winning.
Fair enough.
They're part of that too now, right?
Yeah, they are. They're like, it's good to finally win, because I think the last game we watched together was the derby where Mimo missed the penalty. Man. Yeah.
That's a tough one.
When the penalty came up, I left the room. I left the room, came back 10 minutes later, and I just saw the look on their face.
I still couldn't. Yeah.
And so tough, especially because of the time zone and whatnot. So what's your, if you want to share with us, like, how do you watch it? Where do you watch it? You did a couple of examples, but any other that you want to share, like how is the life of watching a Genoa game?
It's been, so I did the Hellbiz thing.
Yep.
This year. And then I use a VPN, and then I watch it on the computer, and it's worked pretty well. So that's been a good get around. It's actually been easier to watch in Serie B because of Hellbiz than to watch Serie A games.
Is it because they're easier with like the VPN than the Serie A carrier, or what?
Yeah, but it's because like Hellbiz has got all the Genoa games, whereas there is I haven't found one service to watch the Serie A games abroad. I don't know about you guys. How did you watch the Serie A games last season?
So in the US, it's changed like rights a couple of times actually in like recent years. It used to be ESPN a couple of years ago. Yeah. And I think Paramount Plus bought it like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So you might find some luck with Paramount Plus because they also carry, by the way, all of the Coppa Italia games. So that's actually how I still watch Coppa Italia, is from their service. So you may be able to VPN there and watch. But I'm not sure if they're available international. Well, I guess the VPN thing is so you can get around that. But
I had, like, for example, from Canada, it's a little bit different. When it was Serie A, it was a lot easier. The first up until 2 years ago, it was DAZN. And then the last 2 years, we had Fubo TV. Qualitative was quite almost the same. But this year was, for example, in the States, they have Helbiz as well, but legit, let's say. But us in Canada, we don't have, no one has the rights for Serie B. So I'm in your same boat where I had to revert to like these non-official ways to go. And I know that I did try Helbiz, but with with the VPN, I was not even able to connect. So I don't know. That was the experience I had from Canada with Helbiz. And I gave him hell, but it didn't work.
I had once where it was during a game. I tried to turn it on and it wasn't working. But the past few times I've noticed if I turn on my VPN like half an hour before and then log into Helbiz, and then it works. I think it's maybe during the game. I don't know. But I've been able to watch him. So it's been a relief. And then last season, when I first came to Vietnam, like, which was 8 years ago, they used to have it on Vietnamese TV, like on the Vietnamese Star TV. And so I'd watch games then.
Yeah.
The few that were on air. But then, unfortunately, it's just the decline of Serie A, and more people are watching Premier League, and like the Spanish Liga, and so they stopped showing Serie A on TV. And I've also noticed it like Vietnamese people. When I first came, there was more like Juventus shirts, as much as I hate to say it. But now everyone's wearing like Man City, Man United, Barcelona, Real Madrid, those Liverpool shirts. Whereas the older Vietnamese people who are my age, and they'd be like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm Italian." They'd be like, "Oh yeah, I love Italian football." When I teach kids and like teenagers, they're like, "Oh yeah, I love Cristiano Ronaldo. I love Messi." Yeah. They might know like Juventus or Inter, but a lot of them are like, "Oh yeah," like the older generation, they start reading out like, all the World Cup winning squad and stuff, and which is quite cool to hear. But then I have to often hold it back and be like, actually, I hate Juventus, but I don't want to. I don't want to like shit on like someone who's just trying to be nice and like, "Oh yeah, you're Italian," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, cool."
Yeah, if you root for Juventus, you just don't understand anything about football, soccer. So sorry, but
yeah, exactly. I'm sorry about the building works. It seems to have started, but it doesn't seem to be as bad.
It's okay. It depends on the moments. We hear a little bit in the background, but nothing to worry too much about. Did you want to ask anything, Matt?
Well, Enrico, I just was curious your thoughts of the season so far. Like you mentioned, we've had kind of obviously we're in good shape now at the top of the table, basically second on goal difference. But what do you make of it so far? Is it any surprises? Anything that you wouldn't have expected? How do you think of it?
I think it's been going overall. It's been going like really well.
Yeah,
I think there's some things which I'm really happy about. Number one, it's finally nice to not have like players leave after 6 months. Yes. And okay, maybe they're not the best players in the world we have now, but it's nice to have like some players from last year which we've been able to keep.
Actual continuity. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Like some people a team you can get behind. Whereas like the last player we had was good, you could say, was like Piontek. And I was like, "Oh yeah, Piontek scored 50 goals for us. All right. We know he's leaving in January."
Right.
And that to me was just like it's hard to be like get behind the team and get invested because everyone's leaving in half the season. One of the things I really like is seeing like a team being built, which is not getting dismantled every 6 months or every 12 months. We've had the coach who's been able to instill his way of playing. Yeah, I think perhaps our final attacking play could be better. But again, we're getting the results we need.
Agreed.
And it honestly, I think it's been fun. It's been fun and it's going well. I'm really happy. If we keep this up, then fingers crossed. And if Strootman doesn't get injured, because I think he's the key.
I know. It's like the constant.
He does make the difference. He does make the difference.
It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's just a completely different team with him. And it is fun. I mean, we talk about this every now and then. Like we're watching these matches and we're trying to humble ourselves when we're doing these like game predictions every time because we're expecting to win every time. And it's not a normal thing as a Genoa fan to be looking at it like, okay, we got to get 3 points out of this. It's usually like, please, let's get a draw. Just don't embarrass ourselves on this one. Like, come on. So,
and then he comes along and just like, he should be playing. Like, I mean, there was talks of him going to Manchester United a few years ago. And he didn't go.
Oh yeah, that wasn't that long ago. I remember that.
He definitely should be like, well, I don't know what he's doing in Serie B. I'm grateful to him. Thank you, King Kevin. But
yes,
we are blessed to have him. Let's hope for they wrap him in cotton wool once we finish the games.
Not allowed to leave the apartment after the game. You stay there.
Exactly.
There's nothing
We'll bring
else
you
out
anything
there.
you need. Yeah, exactly. The world's a bad place. Stay
Exactly.
there.
No, absolutely. It's finally fresh air. The fact of feeling that we are the ones to beat, that we are the ones that we're the favored ones. It's just like something new in a way. And again, I'm really glad to hear that you actually said that you're happy with what has been done so far, and you didn't even heavy mark anything at all to say we could do this more and do that more, because the truth is, it's still a tough season. This season, out of all, and I haven't. We talked about that throughout. Matt can confirm this, but it's a very highly competitive Serie B this year. Hence, a lot of people defining it as Serie A2 or Serie A2 because of the fact that the big teams that are down there and also the competitiveness and the quality that is down there. We have 6 former champions, World Cup champions, as coaches in the different teams, which doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to be like, super coaches, but nevertheless, it's still some
they bring some valuable expertise, if anything.
Absolutely.
Yes, and good set of eyes, and it's still getting known. And as you said before, the fact of hearing that in Vietnam there's only like Premier League, and La Liga Española, it saddens me again how La Liga is so incapable, if I may say, of broadcasting, of publicizing, of marketing our brand, like our brand of Italian calcio.
Yeah. And especially when you see the way the Premier League has gone, which is now they've got sold out stadiums, there's TV rights, they're just like flying away. I think Serie A is being left in the dust.
I think
unfortunately,
I think you're right, Enrico. It's going to be hard to catch up. I mean, there is though, like there's this kind of glimmer of hope. I kind of feel like somehow Serie B2. I mean, maybe this is always how it is, but like with the league being so competitive, and generally I feel like there are good turnouts from the fans and the different stadiums, and you've got good football being played. Seems like good managers being put in there. There are players from all across the league that are contributing, and hopefully, like ultimately that means good things for Italian football. I don't know if we'll see all of these things pay off dividends with Serie A, but it's good at least to see a healthy league anyway.
No, you have a great point there, Matt. Actually, on the counterpart, I have to say that there is more of the poor and the rich difference in Serie A, even more. Like you see at the bottom is like really down, and the top is getting stronger, which is a good thing because it seems a little bit more competitive now, especially with Napoli doing these show-offs against these huge teams and whatnot, almost like humiliating them, which is a good thing for Italian calcio. But having said that, to a point that Enrico was saying before of the stadiums that are owned by the teams and whatnot, let's put some word out there. What if now, with the issues that our other counterparts of Genoa are having right now, what if 777 bought the Ferraris and all on our own? What do you guys think?
I mean, that would be a game changer, I think, for us to own that ground. But that's one of the problems, obviously, right? Is like there's so many of the teams don't control their finances in the same way because the grounds are typically owned in the city or I think it's mainly the cities, right?
Yes, it is.
I think it would be a huge thing, and it'd be amazing to actually own the Ferraris as where Genoa play. I still would feel weird about the Gradinata suit and everything, even though we're taking it over this year. But I don't know. It could be cool.
What are your thoughts,
I think
Enrico?
it just, yeah, ideally you'd want the clubs to own or at least co-own the stadium instead of going through the government. But I think it's kind of it's the problems which we have in Italy, essentially the bureaucracy problems which we have in Italy, which are coming out, and it makes everything 10 times more complicated to get stuff done. Which is a similarity they share with Vietnam, to be said. But if somehow they could, because I think this is what all the Premier League clubs do. They all own their own clubs, so they're all on their own stadiums, but they're in control of the finances,
right,
and the revenue. I think it has to be the stepping stone forward for Italian footballers. They take control of the stadiums. They can build new ones, whether they want to or not. I think the Marassi is a beautiful stadium, but it probably does need a fresh look of paint, at least. Or if you've seen what they're doing in the Premier League now. Obviously, Tottenham has built an insane stadium. It's a stadium which they put in so much money. Ideally, if we could do that, then we have a chance of competing, because that's how they get money. It's for people coming in through the door. Instead of having 20,000, they have 40,000 sold out every week. It brings them double the money, double the revenue, essentially. It grows the brand. Whereas with these things like the stadiums in Italy, kind of, you could say, almost falling apart, it's not going to attract families, especially with if there's football violence as well, and if families don't feel safe. It's all well and good having the hardcore fans, but the hardcore fans are not going to fill the stadiums.
Right? Absolutely.
You need to make it accessible to everybody. And at the moment, Genoa is fine, to be honest. You can go to the stadium, no problem. I once accidentally took the wrong road and ended up in a fan full of Sampdoria fans. We just turned around and walked out.
Right.
That wouldn't happen in another area, If it was like in the Milan derby,
Rome even worse,
your head kicked in. Yeah, exactly. You come out with a stabbing. I'm sorry, guys, about the noise. It's kicking up. So I'm going to mute my microphone.
No, that's
turn
okay.
It on when I have a question. Yeah, that's it, really. It is really, to sum it up, I think it's really important that Italian football kind of takes control of the stadium. And we have to try and compete, because if not, we're just going to continue falling behind.
Are you planning to go to Genova anytime soon, to watch any games anytime soon?
Yes, I'm going home for Christmas for the first time since COVID. And actually, funny story happened. I was looking at the flights, and I finished work on Friday, so I fly on Friday evening. And then I looked at the flight, and I got it, and it landed in Milan at 1:00 on Saturday. And that was Genoa Frosinone. Saturday the 19th. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll get my brother to meet me at the airport. We'll drive like maniacs from Milan, and I'll catch the second one. And lo and behold, a week or so ago, I look at the updated fixture schedule, and I see Genoa Frosinone Sunday the 19th or Sunday the 20th at 8 p.m. And I was like, yes. I was like, I'm going to the stadium. I called my brother, I was like, a miracle has happened.
So we might have an insider for Genoa Frosinone. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would be great. I'm so excited. The last time I went to the stadium was Genoa Fiorentina, when Piontek was there. Piontek's last game for Genoa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I remember bringing my little brother for the first time. And he was like, oh my God, this is insane.
So wait a minute. Am I hearing that the Genoa Club Vietnam is growing with numbers of members?
It's my little brother, so they've always been there. Yeah. He's in England though.
Have you actually created a Genoa Club Vietnam yet, or are you thinking about it?
No, because honestly, there's not many Italian people here. I did though when I was living in London. I set up the Genoa Club website in
2008,
9. Yeah, it was called Genoani di Londra, I think it was called, because I was studying software development at university.
Yeah,
or e-business as well. So I just set up a website back then.
That's all right.
People where to go and watch them. Yeah, and then I was just after I was I left London, and then I was like, I can't bother to do it anymore.
Good.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
No,
But then here,
it's still interesting. Like even though one day you decide whether to do, like I'm hearing also different Genuani around the world. You heard about Genuani Siresta, which is a great type of approach that is doing with all these Genuani all abroad and whatnot, and it's bringing a lot of people all together, which I still think it's quite interesting. While our goal is a little bit different compared to the Genuani Siresta, which is similar to you, is trying to enrich the Genoa word around the at least on the Anglo-Saxon, so the English-speaking type of fans. And what I wanted to say is, like, even though it is a small number, and don't kick yourself because the Genoa Club Toronto is not that it's that huge either. The big ones are obviously the New York and the London one, which are just like, they're not even to be compared to. But even the fact of having even one or two, three, four members, it's important for a lot of Genuani also for different reasons, because we're actually talking about these things also together with Genuani Siresta, for the fact of Genuani that are going out and traveling and wanting to meet up other Genuani, even if they want tips about. So even like some sort of like a tourism aspect to it.
Yeah.
But also, if there is a match and they want to, meet up and say, okay, let's go and watch. Where do you watch it? Is there a place to watch it? Even if it's at someone's home, because that's essentially what happens over here in Toronto for the numbers and whatnot. We mostly watch it at someone's home, and we meet together and whatnot. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying you have to, but it's something interesting and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like, as a point of reference, it would be good. I'll be a bit like the loneliest whale in the world,
Yes,
but
there's
okay.
one of us
I'm
here.
slowly
We're still here. I'm still alive.
Anybody?
Then for
I'm
Kasha.
slowly converting. All my housemates have got Genoa shirts as well.
I love that. That's awesome. I love that you've done the 5 pound like shirts too. That it just like.
He said €5, which is less than pounds.
Yeah, even much. It was 250,000 Vietnam, which is about £5. Yeah, so, and with names as well printed on the back.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. Are they doing it already with the Castor or only with the cup?
I messaged the guy and was like, have you got any of this season's one? He's like, no. Because what he does is he gets them from the factories in China. So they ship them over. So they're copies, but they're fairly, like, they're long gone, they're not like back in the day, which I remember like seeing them around in Italy, like counterfeit ones, which looked like they were made out of plastic bags.
Yeah, exactly.
These ones are actually, like, I play football. So,
if whomever is listening that is from the Genoa club and whatnot, just cover your ears when we're talking about this stuff, because we know it's not necessarily the right thing to do.
We're talking about VPNing. We're talking about.
I know.
Big kits.
But okay, the kids, I can see that they might
get
have.
Enrico in trouble. We got to stop this podcast like now.
Yeah, we're gonna get
well, listen.
Cease and desist.
To be honest,
of fairness, I'm going to Genoa. I'm going to be buying Genoa shirts when I'm in Genoa.
Exactly. I was going to get to that.
Appease the line.
Like,
I'm going to buy two.
No, to Enrico's point, right? It's true, the fact that counterfeit shirts is not the right thing to do, etc. But when we do go to Genoa, it's the first thing that you want to do is get some official merchandise and whatnot. But on the VPN side, it's not our fault. It's not necessarily even the club's fault.
Yeah.
That's the league's fault, and not and not being able to sell the brand.
I mean, if I could, I would happily pay.
Me too.
It's not like I'm going, I don't want to pay up. I want to actively be a pirate. I think I'd happily pay to watch the
There's just no way. Right. There's no way to watch it.
No, yeah. And it's like that for not just us, I guess anybody else who supports another team, loads of other people for whatever sport in other countries, where for whatever laws, licensing laws, whatever, they can't follow the team, which I think is a great shame.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sports fan in general.
Agreed.
So, Enrico, now the next step is not only to sell jerseys or get your teammates or your friends or your colleagues to buy the jersey, but also, I guess, to spread the word for our podcast, which is always like more than welcome for you to do that.
Plug.
Hint, hint, No, jokes on the side. it's still commending for the fact of spreading the rosso blue colors around. It's just like amazing when I hear it. As you can see, we have our Matt here. He's nothing to do with Italy, but he's our super Genoano.
The weirdo that
not at all. Like that, I think it's like one of the most marvelous things ever. And we've had a couple of other gentlemen, one from Germany, Stefan,
yes.
and Hans from Holland, both of them, nothing to do with Italy, etc. But they chosen without any influx or whatnot to root for the rosso blue colors. And for me, and for us Genoani, it's just something incredible. And the fact of our duty, I call it duty, but it's a nice, fun, and interesting duty to make people be a little bit more Genoani too, right? And embrace the thing of the culture of the Genoano and the focaccia dipped into the cappuccino type of thing.
That's the first thing I'm doing. That's the first thing I'm doing.
I want a picture, Enrico. I want a picture.
If my cousin came to pick me up last time, and I was like, "Oh, make sure you bring a lot of focaccia." And I was like, by a lot, I mean like a lot. And I think you brought me a tray. You brought me a tray, and I was just eating it in the car. Like I finished it in 5 minutes.
That's beautiful.
I dream about focaccia because it's one of the few things you can't get.
I know.
Yeah.
For those guys for those guys in New York, I think there's several people that now are doing it quite well, but that doesn't happen here in Toronto, as in the most part of the rest of the world. And that's one of the first things I do when I go to Genova as well.
Yeah.
So I think
which one do you like? The one with focaccia, which is your favorite type of focaccia?
So when you say favorite, are you saying the difference between the Genovese versus toppings, or versus the Genovese versus the one from Voltri, which is the Priano?
The Enrico.
The Enrico is a different type altogether. But I like them all for different reasons. I like them all.
I'm a big fan of the one with onions on top.
Okay. That's what my girlfriend loves too. I'm okay with it, especially if actually that one specifically, if you dip it into cappuccino, it even extra flavor to it.
Wow, that's bold. That's a bold one.
That's what I mean.
People are like horrified. You what?
No, it's funny because they do that, but then they get horrified with the Hawaiian pizza with the pineapple on the pizza. And they're like, no, you can't do that. Well, what about you dipping your focaccia in the cappuccino?
Yeah.
Especially with onions on top. Right?
Exactly.
On top is a good one.
That sounds like a travesty.
Yeah. I think that's like a crime. Someone should be arrested for that probably.
Yeah. Anyway, so no, that was fun. Thank you, Enrico, for sharing with us all your adventures, and we'll definitely have to have you again on our pod. If anybody wants to reach out to you, how can they do that if they can?
I am actually not on social media. I'm a bit of anti. Probably by email if they wanted to. But I will give you I will probably make a Genoa email and share it with you, and you can share, because I don't want to send out my personal one.
Okay.
I should have really thought about this. Should have required some forethought.
No, it's okay.
But I'm not on any social media, so I'm a bit.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but
No, it's okay. It's okay. But if I am going to do this Genoa Club Vietnam, I will set up a Genoa Club, and next time I'll come better prepared.
That's all right. Just remember, we'll definitely advertise it. No issue, of course.
Yeah, that would be great. Like so I won't be. So I'll get one email at least, even if it's just from my mom saying hello.
That's a good start. Anyways, so thank you everyone for listening to our 22nd episode. Ready for we didn't talk much about the next match, but it's coming against Brescia. It's going to be match day 11. It's going to be interesting because Brescia was one of the contenders for the past season for promotion. This year, they're having a little bit more of a hiccup, but it's going to be a match in Genova. We're hoping to do a little bit of a turnaround with the results now, even starting to win at the Ferraris against their 20,000 fans. 21, because usually there's still always more because more people still go and buy tickets. And we're definitely looking forward to that. Keeping fingers crossed. Last round before we wrap up. I'm going to put, again, Enrico on the spot. Give us your predictions for the match.
Again, I hate doing predictions because I always get them wrong. I'm just going to say I hope for a Genoa win. What I am really curious about seeing is will the pressure, because one thing I've noticed is if we don't score, and then the team starts to get a little bit on edge, and it's what happened against Cagliari. Mm-hmm. We're starting off well, but then the ball didn't go into the back of the net, and you could kind of see oh shit, we're not going to get a goal, and it's signs of plays on the mind. So it depends. If we can get a goal on the board, then we're going to be all right. Whether it be we've had a lot of penalties to help us recently, which I'm not complaining about because usually they went against them. So it depends. If we can get a goal, then I think we'll ingranare, as we say in Italian. We'll get the cogs will go in motion. So I'm hoping for a victory. I'm not going to say how much, but because I get them wrong and I think it's a curse. But I'm just hoping for a victory. If we draw, then we draw. I think the only one which would make me sad would be a defeat, which is probably going to happen now.
No, it's not.
What do you guys think will happen?
Go, Matt.
Well, I think it's going to be, I know, I am also kind of like trying to temper myself a little bit. I mean, look, they played pretty well, I thought, against Venezia at the weekend at home. So that finished 1-1. And Venezia have looked better lately, as Fabry, you mentioned, I think, on the last pod, even though they've not had the best season. I mean, the thing to be confident about, I guess, is they're shipping in a lot of goals. I think they have like a negative goal differential. I am worried.
They haven't won in 4 games.
No.
I'm looking at they've got a negative goal difference, -1.
So there's reason to be optimistic. I kind of feel like somehow they're still going to get a goal past us within this match, maybe even 2. Like I could see almost like a 4-2 scoreline or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing really rationally that makes me think that our defense is going to give up some more than a goal, but just the way that this match is shaping up, and I'm with Enrico on this. There's some like weird kind of thing still with playing at the Ferraris, and maybe they get a strange like foul at the edge of the box or something. So I do think Genoa, I believe they will win. I want to be careful as well, but I'm kind of thinking it's going to actually be like fairly involved goal wise. I think it may finish 4-2, but we'll see. And it's a weird one, I think, also because their form, as Enrico's mentioned, it's not been great. But again, they had a decent showing against Venezia, who I think are about to be coming back into form with some of the players that they've recently signed. So, Fabry, what do you think?
Goal scorers?
Well, that's tough. Now I have four goals in there. I think Coda is going to be on there for sure. I've tried to have Aramu on the score sheet for like the last 4 matches, and he's not been on there, but I think he probably will get one this time. I think if we're going to get an Aramu free kick in there. I think Strootman has had too many excellent plays the last few matches. I'm not sure we'll see another goal from him. I do think maybe again Jagiello could be on the score sheet for us. And maybe we'll round it out with a Goodmanson goal. So let's see.
He definitely deserves some. He's been an outstanding player this year.
He's really been working hard. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, I'd say I was just quickly looking while you guys were speaking. The form of Brescia away, except the win against Como, which was a weird one,
yes,
and the win against Modena, I'm not seeing a strong Brescia at all away. I think Genoa on the other side needs to show that they're able to win at home under their stadium, and while I would like to see the 4-2, not too happy about the 2 taken because
I would be actually pretty angry about that.
Exactly, professing that we have a solid defense. I think it's going to be a nice 2-0. Okay. Going to be hard to, I like this, I think he'll smile, but I like to see again, definitely Coda being in the score sheet. And if it's not good.
Sorry, I'll let you finish. I wanted to say something about Coda.
Yeah, unless we're going to see another doppietta from him, I think on the score sheet, we're going to either have his doppietta or we're going to have himself with one between Goodmanson and Puskas. I still want to see Puskas score.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you guys talked about the Ternana game, but I just want to say, what a goal from Coda. What a second
man.
goal.
Wasn't that amazing?
It was lovely. It was
No,
so nice.
we're being spoiled because if you look at the match before with that goal by Strootman and last match day with Coda's goal, we're seeing just like these amazing, beautiful goals happening right now.
Yeah.
I honestly,
Strootman's goal was insane.
The Strootman goal was incredible, but there's something just about just like the confidence of that goal from Coda was just like amazing. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was being closed down on all sides. He knew it was 1-1, and just the vision to just dink it over the keeper.
Just a little dunk.
And let's not forget that the teams know who is Coda, and hence a lot of people complaining the fact that he's been able to score. But if people are doppiarlo, triplo, like meaning 2-3 players, they're like marking him and whatnot. It's difficult to find spaces, but he's shown that he can do it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I know, like I've heard you guys talk about on the pod, but it's definitely a case of like teams shutting up shop against us and be like, oh God, right? Let's do damage limitation.
Yeah,
exactly. So it has been hard to break them down because they don't want to play. I mean, look at Cosenza. I mean, they played most of the game with one man extra, barely had a shot on goal. We went 2-1 up. Yeah.
Cagliari the same. Like they didn't even almost barely had chances, right?
That was very surprised. I'm still surprised by that weeks later that they were not really going at it. Yeah, I mean that's fair also. I mean, we might see Brescia really just looking to get a point out of this. It's very much what could happen. They just are kind of taking their shape.
I wouldn't put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if we drew.
Yeah,
I think. I wouldn't.
It's highly likely.
I think I depends on. I honestly think it's the mentality. It's because I didn't watch the Palermo game. I'm not going back a bit, but my little brother was like telling me, like he watched the Palermo game. He's like, "Oh, we started off really well, and then we faded in the second half." Maybe I could be. So again, I didn't watch it, but he said we were like peppering the shots with goal for the first 20 minutes, and then because it didn't go in, we kind of like had a panic attack almost.
That second half was kind of it was hard to watch. Yeah, it was very sluggish. Yeah, I mean, and who knows? I mean, maybe we even have some bad miss or something, and the crowd turns a little bit. Things could happen.
Hey, let's not start with the Mugugno now, right?
I know.
No, I was just like against Cagliari was not going in, and like it was so funny. Not funny. It was just like they were kicking the ball, and our attacker was blocking it on the line, and you're like, oh, this is what it's like.
Oh my God, I remember that. I actually remember that play. I remember that. It's like
Aramu shot, yeah.
Aramu shot, but no, Aramu cleared off the line, or I think Portanova cleared off the line, but for Cagliari, so he's like, and you're like, oh God, like nothing's going in.
It's not our day. Yeah.
And then you realize I'm a Genoa fan.
Yeah,
I know.
What's the saying? We have a saying. What's the saying? Sei Genoano, vuoi anche vincere. Is that what they say?
Yeah, something like that.
Which is like, you're a Genoa fan. You want to win as well. Like, what are you complaining about?
We're going to turn things around. We have to turn things around. Anyways, on that note, this is a wrap for episode 22. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us. Don't forget that we're on all social medias. So Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Write down a note, give us a like, give us comments, whatever you like. And you can listen to us on any type of platform for our podcast. So looking forward to the match against Brescia, and can't wait to talk to you again next week. Forza Genoa.
Forza Genoa.
Forza Genoa. Thank you for having me, guys.
Ciao.
Ciao.
You've listened to La Lanterna, a spotlight on Italian football, a podcast powered by Genoani Si Resta. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.